Hello, Atlanta Falcons fans. Today we have some exclusive news that you can't miss. So get ready because there's a lot of important information coming. Before we start, we'd like to take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and stay up to date with all the news about our Atlanta Falcons. Don't forget to leave a like, which really strengthens our community and helps bring this content to those who are most passionate about the team. Now, without further ado, let's get straight to today's news. Atlanta Falcons select Georgia football player in latest NFL mock draft. The Atlanta Falcons select a former Georgia football defensive end in the latest NFL mock draft. The NFL Combine is fast approaching, which also means the NFL draft is right around the corner. The Georgia Bulldogs once again have a litany of players who will be waiting to hear their names called over the 3 days that the draft is taking place. Based on the projections, though, it doesn't look like any of them will have to wait too long for their dream of finally being drafted into the league to come true. NFL.com's Cynthia Freland released her latest NFL mock draft, and she uses a model to determine which players in the draft class would create the most wins for each NFL franchise. For former Georgia Bulldog Jalen Walker, it was the Atlanta Falcons in the first round at number 15 overall. A bit of a shocker considering the Falcons don't have a reputation for drafting Georgia players early in the draft, but they could probably use a player like Walker. Here's what Freland wrote about the pick. I don't see the Falcons thinking about anything other than pass rusher with this pick, and I have them taking the Georgia product, Freland wrote. Walker boasts the best second effort reflex, second move coming off the edge, think Cam Jordan in his prime, of any prospect at his position in this year's class. Bonus for Atlanta. This versatile defender has plenty of experience playing off-ball linebacker. Walker burst onto the scene last season and became one of the most impactful players on Georgia's defense. He finished his career with 12.5 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, and 89 tackles. In 2024 alone, he had 6.5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, and 60 tackles. He showed up for Georgia in the biggest moments time and time again last season, and certainly played worthy of a top 15 selection. What would it take for the Atlanta Falcons to sign pass rusher Myles Garrett? Myles Garrett has been the face of the Cleveland Browns organization for the past 3 seasons. Since the departure of Baker Mayfield, there hasn't been a star on the team with similar impact and recognition across the league. That's part of the reason Garrett's trade request has garnered so many headlines in a week dominated by Super Bowl and NBA trades. Atlanta Falcons fans would obviously love for Garrett to become the answer to the team's pass-rushing woes. The Falcons are far from alone, with most of the league at least considering Garrett worthy of an exploratory call. Rarely does a generational pass rusher become available during his prime. The Falcons and every other team in the league should do their due diligence on the cost and likelihood of signing Cleveland's star. What would it take for the Atlanta Falcons to win the bidding war for Myles Garrett? This is a question that is somewhat impossible to answer until we see whether or not Cleveland will trade the star. However, it is fair to start with at least 2 first-round picks and perhaps a second-day selection as well. That is more than fair when you evaluate the value and look at similar impact players who have been traded. Garrett has 2 years of team control remaining and would likely sign an extension with whoever is lucky enough to land the star. There is no reason to believe the team would accept any deal that does not start with 2 first-round picks. The Falcons could try to spice up their offer with a young player like Tyler Allgeier, a great piece who has been productive and is still a bargain at a position of need for the Browns. Regardless of who wins the bidding war, it is clear that you should come to the table understanding that trading for Garrett means giving up the next 2 years of first-round picks. Considering how Terry Fontenot has historically recruited, that is not a huge cost from Atlanta's perspective. The chances of landing a player with Garrett's impact are incredibly slim. With that in mind, the Falcons should monitor the situation and, if given the chance, not hesitate to acquire a player who will go a long way in rebuilding a struggling defense.